जय राधा माधि कुंज गोपी जन Prabhupada ki jai. You can switch on the light. Oh, I see this light is yeah, this light is good, right? Yeah. Okay. ॐ ज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकदा मह्यं ददाति सपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपदं सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्तांश्च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वंशाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च वैष्णवेभ्यो नमः। श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। मुखं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं, यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्य ईश्वरम्। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय, ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय, ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। वासुदेवे भगवती भक्ति योग प्रयोजितः, जनयति आसु वैराग्यम ज्ञानं यत् ब्रह्म दर्शनम्। वासुदेवे भगवती भक्ति योग प्रयोजितः, जनयति आशु वैराग्यम ज्ञानं यद् ब्रह्म दर्शनम्। ज्ञानं यद् ब्रह्म दर्शनम्। वासुदेवे भगवती भक्ति योग प्रयोजितः, जनयति आसु वैराग्यम ज्ञानं यद् ब्रह्म दर्शनम्। Yeah, 3:30 to 23. Vasudeve unto Krishna, Bhagavati, the personality of Godhead, Bhakti Yoga, devotional service, Prayojitaha, discharged, Janayati, produces, Ashu, very soon, Vairagyam, detachment, Jnanam, knowledge, Yat, which, Brahma Darshanam, self-realization. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivinoda Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Engagement in Krishna consciousness and application of devotional service unto Krishna make it possible to advance in knowledge and detachment as well as in self-realization. Purport, Jai Guru Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. It is said that by less intelligent men that Bhakti Yoga devotional service is meant for persons who are advanced in transcendental knowledge and renunciation. But the fact is that if one engages in devotional service of the Lord in full Krishna consciousness, he does not have to attempt to separately practice detachment or wait for an awakening of of transcendental knowledge. It is said that one who engages unflinchingly in the devotional service of the Lord actually has all the good qualities of the demigods develop in him automatically. One cannot discover how such good qualities develop in the body of a devotee, but actually it happens. There is one instance where a hunter was taking pleasure in killing animals, but after becoming a devotee, He was not prepared to kill even an ant. Such is the quality of a devotee. Those who are very eager to advance in transcendental knowledge can engage themselves in pure devotional service without wasting time in mental speculation. For arriving at the positive conclusions of knowledge in the absolute truth, the word Brahma Darshanam is significant in this verse. Brahma Darshana means to realize or to understand the transcendence. One who engages in the service of Vasudev can actually realize what Brahman is. If Brahman is impersonal, then there is no question of darshanam, which means seeing face to face. Darshanam refers to seeing the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudev. Unless the seer and the seen are persons, there is no darshanam. Brahma darshanam means that as soon as one sees the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he can at once realize what impersonal Brahman is. A devotee does not need to make separate investigations to understand the nature of Brahman. Bhagavad Gita also confirms this. Brahma Bhuyaya Kalpate. A devotee is at once becomes a self-realized soul in the absolute truth. Again, Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So, today I thought of titling today's class that prevention is better than cure. Prevention is better than cure. So the thing is that this purport is very, very wonderful and very famous also. Um, there's another verse in Bhagavatam, the only difference is the last line says, Jnanam Chayat Ahitukam. So Bhagavatam repeats the same thing multiple times to stress the importance. So engagement in Krishna consciousness and application of devotional service unto Krishna make it possible to advance in knowledge and detachment as well as in self-realization. So first thing very important to see in this translation is does self-realization happen first or does knowledge and detachment happen first? So first, actually, self-realization happens, and then knowledge and detachment fructifies. So when we speak about self-realization, it does not mean the full-blown self-realization that we are an eternal servant, a friend, uh, mm, a parent, or a lover of Krishna. But what it means is that as Bhagavad Gita, as Prabhu quotes this verse, and it's a wonderful verse that. For one who makes even the slightest advancement in self-realization in Krishna consciousness, there is nothing higher than that to be gained. So basically, the point is that even the slightest advancement in self-realization in Krishna consciousness is the highest gain for a devotee. And only by that advancement can we become advanced in knowledge and detachment. So, because detachment, real detachment, can only happen when we become indifferent to sense objects or indifferent to this world. If you don't become indifferent, detachment is temporary. Like sometimes we have the experience, like today's Ekadasi, we're not eating anything, and whatever, whoever is practicing, whatever level, but at least we may be refraining from some eatables. Like for example, if someone gives a gulab jamun today, of course you can't eat it. But to become detached from gulab jamun, for the tongue to not to ask for gulab jamun, the mind shouldn't be entangled with the senses. Because wherever the mind is, accordingly, our demand will be like that. So if the mind is in the senses, naturally the mind will ask for sense objects. But if the mind is in higher and higher consciousness, then only will it be possible for the mind to actually ask for Krishna. And only when we ask for Krishna, only when we think of Krishna, and we have a brain of bhakti yogina, unless we have an intense desire to obtain Krishna's mercy, we cannot become indifferent to sense objects. And indifference is a point, because if we are attached or detached, I mean, if we have attachment or hatred for sense objects, both are sides of the same coin. Just like dvandva, uh, this duality. So either good or bad, both are bad. Like Prabhupada says, quoting a verse in Chaitanya Charitamrita, that in this material world there is no such thing as good or bad. Everything is bad. So the point is that in order to advance, one has to become indifferent to this material world, and one has to have transcendental knowledge. Now, what is transcendental knowledge? Again, when we become, uh, when we try to advance in Krishna consciousness, then by the grace of Krishna, um, we become inspired to practice certain principles of Krishna consciousness. And those principles of Krishna consciousness are the principles that are revealed in our heart when we're serving the Lord. So when we engage in practical service, the truths of the scriptures or of the pure devotees, those truths which arise in our heart spontaneously, those truths is the actual knowledge. That is actually the gyan, actually the knowledge, because that is the knowledge that we're using in our Krishna consciousness. So to become indifferent and to have that, inspiration from within the heart, that requires self-realization, or that requires the mercy of Krishna. So Prabhupada says, quoting that famous verse in Bhagavatam, Yasyasti bhaktir bhagavatir akinchana. So one who engages unflinchingly, akinchana, from akinchana gochara, only such a person do the good qualities develop. So Prabhupada is recommending us to become very eager to advance in transcendental knowledge by engaging in pure devotional service. So first, like I mentioned, today's class, I wanted to title it Prevention is Better Than Cure. So actually, if we observe in our Krishna consciousness, we don't have control over our advancement, or we cannot control our advancement. We can try to do certain things to please our Shiksha Gurus, our superiors, and by their grace, our consciousness can advance. But it is not possible for us to separately endeavor for advancement, because we don't have control. We don't have, like, a control over our consciousness as Krishna or Krishna's pure devotees have. So the first most important point in Krishna consciousness is to understand that there are two principles of pure devotional service. The first principle is what is favorable, and second is to follow in the footsteps of the great devotees. So, following the footsteps of the great devotees, the most important principle of following the footsteps is actually to think in such a way, to always be thinking about their pleasure. This is a very, very important principle. Actually, our previous acharyas, again and again and again, they demonstrate this principle, how important this principle is. Like Srila Prabhupada, who is the best example of this. Even though Srila Prabhupada was so happy in Vrindavan, Prabhupada says that is the center of the spiritual world, where Prabhupada was saying, he says, Prabhupada says, my eternal place of residence is my rooms and Radha Damodar. And then Prabhupada says that these rooms are the center of the spiritual world. So if Prabhupada were in such a place, why would Prabhupada want to leave? Why would Prabhupada want to leave that place? Actually, as one becomes more and more advanced in Krishna consciousness, it is explained at the time of asakti, when one is on the stage of asakti, he becomes so much attracted to Krishna and addicted to Krishna, just like a small child becomes addicted to candies. So a small child sees a candy at a candy store and the child wants it immediately. Like the child will also roll on the ground throw a fit, and until it gets the candy, the child will not become peaceful. So, like that, a devotee is intensely attached to Krishna, that cannot actually bear separation from Krishna. So, someone who is in such a consciousness, why would they want to leave Vrindavan? So one who has actually attained love for Krishna, that Dham will become manifest, manifest. So when one actually sees the Dham as real Vrindavan, one sees the Kalpavriksha, one sees the eternal associates of the Lord. Why would one want to leave? So, but still Srila Prabhupada left. Why? Because his guru asked him to do that. So again, Prahlad Maharaj also tells Lord Nrsimhadev there is a shloka which actually speaks about this. That so unless one actually has a very deep attachment to the lotus feet of spiritual master, one will not do such a thing. But Prabhupada did such a thing. Mhm. So normally our understanding is that the purpose of serving Guru is to make advancement in bhakti. That's all, that's our understanding. But not only is it the purpose, is it the only means to make advancement, but even after one makes advancement, that is the real duty of a disciple. That is the real duty of follower. So this famous verse from Bhagavatam actually mentions this point, Evam janam nipatitam prabhavahi kupe kama vikama manuya prapatan prasangat kritvatmasat surashina bhagavan grihita soham katham nu visrije tava bhritya sevam. Prahlad Maharaj is saying, "O my dear Lord, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, because of my association with material desires one after another, I was gradually falling into a blind well full of snakes, following the gentle populace. But your servant Narad Muni kindly accepted me as his disciple and instructed me how to achieve this transcendental position. Therefore, my first duty is to serve him. How could I leave his service?" So now Narad Muni, Prahlad Maharaj is saying this after having eye to eye darshan of the Supreme Lord. So this is very, very significant. Bhagavatam is teaching. And the ripe fruit of Bhagavatam is actually Chaitanya Charitamrita. Sanatan Goswami is telling Madan Mohan. Madan Mohan is saying, Sanatan, Prabhupada, you can hear Prabhupada saying, "Oh Sanatan, um, why are you giving me this dry chapatis without any salt? At least I need some salt." What is Sanatan Goswami? Sanatan Goswami says, "I'm an old man. I'm busy writing books. I cannot go." So, of course, we should not take this in the wrong sense, that we should serve the Lord with utmost quality and quantity and in the best way possible. But the tattva, the understanding from this is that the reason why Sanatan Goswami said that to Madan Mohan is because Sanatan Goswami was so um, dedicated to fulfilling the order of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And writing books, especially writing books and uncovering certain holy places. And of course, we know in course of time, a huge temple was built and Madan Mohan served very nicely. So the principle is to serve Guru and to serve the representatives of Guru, the authorities, the Shiksha Gurus. So actually, when we think about our beginning in Krishna consciousness, when we came to Krishna consciousness, we are very, very simple, very simple. And because we are very simple and humble, most persons, at least because of the degree of simplicity and humility, because of that, they acquired what's called unflinching faith. They got this, that's what Krishna is saying, that Bhagavatir Akinchana means unflinching, unfailing service. So because we had unflinching faith, at that time, like Krishna was merciful to us, gave us that unflinching faith in this process. So what happened? We got some attraction and we became very strongly determined. That's why the first few years of our Krishna consciousness, we were able to make so much progress. Why? Because of that simplicity. Like anyone we saw, we were such a great devotees doing such wonderful service. So like this, we were constantly appreciating and we were very simple at heart. No duplicity was there. But speaking about myself, as the time passed, as a so-called, became so-called senior or whatever, in the course of handling different things, crookedness, duplicity entered into my heart. And as a result of that, what happened? The faith was not unflinching. And of course, offenses also accompanied. So faith was not unflinching. Because of lack of unflinching faith, what happened? Determination in bhakti became weak, and determination bhakti became weak, uh, and my attraction to Krishna became weak, and that's why advancement is slow, as opposed to earlier. So the point is that why does this saralata, this simplicity, why does it go away? Today I just got a inspiration that the reason why this goes away is because of the desire to be independent. See, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says something very wonderful in his song that this life of independence is a life of suffering. Uh, so I'll quote that song at the end of the class, but it's a very important principle. Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying independent life is a life of suffering. So, which means that this is not, of course, just on the physical platform, but also in the mind. So, in the mind, when we are making decisions, when we are thinking anything, are we considering the pleasure, the desire of our authority, of our Shiksha Guru, of the person who is actually guiding us? So, that's very important to understand. Mm, because if we constantly think of the pleasure of our guru, of our superiors, Shiksha Gurus, then we will never be in problem. We will never become duplicitous. Which what is duplicity? Duplicity means we are servant, we become master in our mind. We think now I am guru, I am master, I want to control. So in our mind, if we always meditate on the pleasure, like Prabhupada says, how just by thinking of the pleasure of spiritual mastery, we make so much advancement. So this conception is very, very powerful, very, very powerful. We see our acharyas again and again and again demonstrating this principle. And speak for myself, what is the fruit? How can we see whether we're actually thinking independently or thinking in the correct way? When some glorification comes to us, I speak for myself, and in our mind, we think like we try to think intellectually that this belongs to Yogaksha Prabhu, this belongs to Guru. So when we think like that, do we actually feel? Do we actually feel? Do we actually get the realization that yes, it is, and in the heart of our hearts, can we accept that, or do we have some doubt that maybe? So this maybe doubt, why it comes? Because day to day in the process, when I was functioning, I was not being dependent. I was not functioning with the mood of a servant. And that's why when the time of test came, when someone glorified, then independent nature came. You want to take the credit. And when you want to take the credit, what happens? Then we start suffering. So this is a very important principle. That's what prevention is better than cure. So instead of um, at a certain point in our Krishna consciousness, instead of suffering, it's very simple. All we have to do is always consider the pleasure, the purpose. the goal of our superiors, of our authority, Shiksha Gurus. In this way, we will always be protected. We'll always be protected. Because in our mind, if we always desire to simply serve our superiors, our gurus and Shiksha Guru, Diksha Guru authorities, then what happens is Krishna from within our heart will give us the inspiration to do what pleases them. And if we're doing something wrong, either they will come and tell us, or from within the heart, Krishna will tell us. So this mercy is very, very powerful, and this mercy comes by cultivating the correct consciousness. So this is the essence of Krishna consciousness, is to always maintain this simplicity. Because if you maintain this simplicity, then Krishna will give you that unflinching faith. And if you have unflinching faith, then you will be determined. And if you are determined, you will definitely make quick progress in bhakti. So um, His Holiness Aladar Maharaj, yesterday I was hearing, he said something really wonderful. He says that sometimes we think that in order to put faith, we need so much praman, we need so many things. But I mean, this is based on his realization, but it really hit my heart. He said that we don't need proof to have faith. Faith is not given by proof. It's not that by just by hearing some shastra we get faith. Faith is given by Krishna. Like, how do we put faith in our Guru? How do we accept our Guru as Guru? Not by reading books, not by achievements, but Krishna gave that faith to us, and that's why we have the faith. Because that's just a natural process, a very natural process. Like, you see, even in material understanding also, you see that how can a child put faith that this is my father, this is my mother. A child that doesn't understand, cannot discern, I mean, cannot discriminate, but it's given by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Actually, Krishna is the source of all faith. So when Krishna becomes pleased with our simplicity, then Krishna gives us that unflinching faith. When Krishna gives us an unflinching faith, then we can do anything, we can achieve anything. Just like the example of um, Dhruva Maharaj, how seeing his intense desire, Krishna gave him so much faith. Vishnu gave him so much faith that even amidst such a difficult situation, Dhruva Maharaj was so determined. And if you think about my situation, the situation that we have in our temple, we have so many ways by which we can make such quick advancement. But just see the determination of Maharaj Dhruva. That's because of the gift of unflinching faith given by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As a result of his simplicity, is very, very simple. And one thing is also very, very inspiring about him is that actually he was very upset, he was very angry, he wanted to take revenge. It was almost something like it's a subtle form, little, reduced form of, suppose he want to take revenge on someone. He want to take revenge on someone. There are different ways of taking revenge. His way of taking revenge was he wanted a kingdom much bigger than his grandfather, bigger than Lord Brahma. That was his way of taking revenge. Of course, it's much better than beating someone or suing someone, etc., etc. But you see how Krishna is so merciful that Krishna turned that avesh, that krodh avesh, towards himself. Krishna transformed that towards him. So that same anger, that thing was used positively to actually achieve the mercy of Krishna. Like, anger is an incredible force. If you can use that anger to actually make very quick advancement in bhakti, why not? So, Narottam Das Thakur says, Kama Krishna Karmarpani, that the lust burning in the heart of living entities can be used to do a lot of service for Krishna. So anyway, so this is the mercy of Krishna, that Krishna can do anything. Like, someone may be very fallen in so many ways, but if he has simplicity, Krishna can transform anything to make him to a pure devotee. So Materially, there is no disqualification. Actually, there is no disqualification, but the only thing is the simplicity and the humility is required. If one is simple and humble and functions anushilanam under the direction of the authorities, the great souls, one can become a pure devotee in this one life. It doesn't matter how much sadhana, how much thing that Krishna will take care, because there is no limit to the amount of sadhana we can try to do. We can chant as many rounds, we can do as many artis. We can't quantify. But how much will actually match Krishna's quota, or how much will please Krishna, we cannot say. But this will definitely please Krishna. That if we always try to consider the pleasure of our superiors, mm, our gurus. So, because see, this is a very dangerous thing, speaking for myself, that one day will come that Krishna will put us in a situation that we'll be completely independent. Completely independent means, like, for example, you see, like senior devotees, like their gurus, their Shiksha gurus, they travel and they are running the temple. Like, so if Krishna puts us in such situation when we are actually, like, there is no one on a day-to-day basis who is actually seeing our activities, seeing what we do. No one is there to correct us if we're in that situation. And by that time, if we have not developed this mentality to always depend, to always pray, to always consider the pleasure of our superior, then definitely that position will bring us down and down and down. So it's very good for us to cultivate this mentality of considering the pleasure of our superiors, of our Shiksha Gurus. Is very important, very important. And to take their most important thing is to take their spiritual sound vibration very, very seriously, very, very seriously. Because the thing is, why do we call someone Shiksha Guru? Why do we call someone spiritual authority? Because they're more advanced. That's the most important consideration. It's not just about how they sing, how they give class. No, these are all definitely wonderful. But the most important thing is that they are very advanced in bhakti and they can give bhakti adhikar. And today, just yesterday, Prabhu came, immediately my consciousness was lifted immediately. So it's very powerful. It's very powerful. And the reason why Prabhu and devotees are in such position is because they have that mentality. They don't have this ego of trying to control someone or to take advantage of a position. That's why someone is guru. Guru is guru because try to shift that I am guru, I am the controller, I am, because he is always thinking of the pleasure of his guru. So it's a very, very important principle in bhakti. If we want to achieve advancement in bhakti, if we want to have unflinching, the Prabhupada says unflinching, right? This unflinching only happens when we maintain that simplicity, maintain that humility, and always try to function under the direction, or at least, His Holiness Ramnath Maharaj says that if a devotee always in his mind before doing anything, he prays from the core of the heart to Guru and Krishna that Krishna, I want to do this, I want to please you, I want to serve you. In that intense prayer, if he does his activities, then for sure he will attain success in Bhakti Yoga. So this is very, very powerful. It's very simple, but it's very powerful, and it will definitely help us to make advancement in bhakti for sure. This is a sure shot way of making advancement in bhakti, because ultimately what we're trying to do is we're trying to please Krishna. Like one devotee asked as well as Radha Maharaj said, how do I know if my hearing and chanting is good or not? He said, ultimately, we have to try to please Krishna. That is the bar. That is the bar. So we are trying to please Krishna. That is the goal of all our activities. Like Maharaj says that working very hard and not pleasing Krishna is useless. It's useless. Like even if you do so many things, whether you do so many or so little or whatever, if you're not pleasing your superior, Shiksha Guru, Diksha Guru, then there is no use to it. Like Prabhupada said, I'm speaking for myself. Prabhupada said one time, and devotee said, told Prabhupada that Prabhupada, what you did is incredible. And then Prabhupada responded that if my activities have not pleased my guru, then it's completely useless. And then Prabhupada said that, like you could feel like Prabhupada is so detached from this ISKCON movement. Like think about how much effort Prabhupada put for this movement, and then Prabhupada is speaking like that. It's like when if someone hears the mood, like not just what Prabhupada is saying, but if someone hears the mood in which Prabhupada says, they'll be shocked. And that shows like how much Prabhupada was just doing everything to please his guru. So, of course, at the advanced stages, one's automatically, spontaneously, that mood will come. But in the initial stages, we have to be very, very careful. Very, very careful. Right? That's why you see in the pastimes of Bhagavatam, Krishna book everywhere, actually, the one thing that Krishna cannot tolerate is pride. And what is pride? Pride means thinking I am the independent performer. I am the independent devotee. I am the source of my advancement. But so the pride is independent mentality and humility is dependent mentality. So if we can always train ourselves to become dependent, to think in a dependent way, to always think that this is meant to please this devotee, to please my spiritual master, then we actually attract Krishna's grace, and we can maintain this, this simple, humble mode, which is required for us to make quick progress in bhakti, very quick progress in bhakti. So actually, bhakti, the goal of bhakti is that everything should be prakash, everything should be manifest before our eyes. And how will that happen? Swayam eva sparatyada. How will Swayam eva sparatyada happen? When Prabhupada says, when we become spiritually saturated with the spirit of seva, not the service, but the spirit of seva. So, so it's very, very powerful. It's very, very powerful. When one becomes spiritually saturated by transcendental service to the Lord, the transcendental name, form, quality, and pastimes of the Lord are revealed to him. So, I would just like to read something which is very wonderful from Srila Prabhupada. This is very wonderful. So Prabhupada is saying that how this is very, very powerful, that when we become purified by the sound vibration of an exalted devotee, then we make very quick progress. Actually, this verse is very attractive to me. 1858 in Bhagavad Gita. Mat chitta sarva durgani mat prasadat harishyasi atha chet tvam ahankaran na shrosyasi vinakshasi. Right? So this is very wonderful. If you become conscious of me, you will pass over all the obstacles of conditioned life by my grace. If, however, you do not work in such consciousness, so what does it mean to not work in such consciousness? But act through false ego. Not hearing me, you will be lost. So the purport is really, really amazing. Prabhupada is saying, a person in full Krishna consciousness is not unduly anxious about executing the duties of his existence. So this is the first symptom that when we become unduly anxious about our ourself, about our position, about our success, me and mine, when we become anxious over those things, then it shows that we're acting independently. And then what will happen is, if we are engaged in some seva and there is some anxiety, if it is for Krishna, that anxiety will increase our Krishna consciousness. Like what did Prabhupada say? Prabhupada says, if you're anxious for Krishna, that is perfection, that is wonderful. But many times, for myself, if the anxiety is resulting in going away from Krishna, it means I'm thinking about myself. I'm trying to further my own agenda. And of course, the other reason could also be offenses. When we are speaking about myself, when we commit offenses. And again, the root cause of all offenses is what? Is working hard but forgetting to please Krishna. It sounds very funny, but it's true. Like many times, you work hard but you forget to please Krishna. Forget Krishna. So, transcendental knowledge, like the two aspects of this verse, transcendental knowledge and detachment mm, means first is how much we're inspired or what inspires us in Krishna consciousness. Like, what does transcendental knowledge mean? It means, suppose if basically so Prabhu, someone, pure devotee, says something, you immediately become inspired. Yes, I must do, I must do. So that is called real knowledge, knowledge which is moving you, pushing you towards activity. And detachment is actually indifference, becoming indifferent to this world. That is real detachment. That means not attached and not detached. I mean, detachment here means indifference, right? So to become indifferent to this world. So to achieve both these things, only one way is a surrender. Surrender, surrender, surrender. And what are we going to get by practicing this kind of mentality to be subservient, to be humble, to always consider the pleasure of authorities? We are going to get transcendental wealth. And what is that transcendental wealth? We are going to get that attraction towards Krishna. And what is the result of that attraction towards Krishna? The result is that our life will change, our consciousness will change, and the real thing that we really want, that we will get. And what is that? Krishna. What we have come to this movement to get, we will get that. We will get Krishna. So actually, yesterday I was listening to one devotee, very exalted devotee, was one is Gauravan Maharaj. Actually, should all pray for him. He's a guru. He's a very exalted devotee. He's going through some health problem. He's in the ICU right now. I really hope he recovers. His name is Chaitanya Chandra Das Maharaj, I think, yeah. So yeah, he's a very exalted devotee from the way he speaks. And you can see clearly he's initiating guru also. So he was speaking, I was hearing, he was speaking, giving a class on spontaneous devotional service, and I was seeing like how his consciousness was so attractive, so inspiring that he was speaking about how that by hearing the pastimes of Krishna, we become so attracted to Krishna, become so submerged in that ocean that we forget everything else. And actually, he mentioned one point very nicely that how that for us to be situated, mm, to be clean from this material world, the only solution ultimately is to become intensely attracted to Krishna. That is Lord Chaitanya's teaching also. You see in Chaitanya Charitamrita that how that devotees and Krishna both, I mean devotees and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu both, how much they were so addicted to Krishna. And as a result of that, they completely forgot themselves. You know, like the glorification of the gopis in 10th canto, it said that how that when they left everything, they didn't even realize they were leaving everything. Like when they left their home, they left their home, they were not conscious they left their home. They only conscious of Krishna's flute. And they ran, they forgot their existence also. They just wanted to hear Krishna's flute. So in Chaitanya Charitamrita, that is a platform where all the devotees are functioning, that they're just completely addicted to Krishna. There's nothing else which exists. It's like there is no end to it. There is no end to it. It's like I was reading on Madhavendra Puri, how he was so attracted to serving Gopal. There's no end to it. Like Madhavendra Puri is constantly trying to serve Gopal. First he does this, then he does that, and he's constantly planning for Krishna's pleasure, constantly thinking of Krishna's. There is no end. There's no end to it. There's no place where it says, okay, Madhavendra Puri took some rest, and there's no rest. as a constantly running towards Krishna's pleasure, constantly trying to satisfy Krishna. There is no end to that. So that's the consciousness we want. That's the consciousness we came here for, to this ISKCON movement, is to be 24 hours, to be constantly thinking of Krishna's pleasure, trying to please Krishna, thinking of Krishna's pastimes. So I just wanted to read one verse, very inspiring to me, and we can keep this as our goal in Krishna consciousness. It's very, very attractive. This is Antilila, chapter 5, uh, 47. उज्ज्वल मधुर प्रेम भक्ति से पाए आनंद कृष्ण माधुर्य विहारे सदाए. Tasting transcendental, effulgent, sweetly ecstatic love of Krishna, such a person can enjoy life 24 hours a day in the transcendental bliss of the sweetness of Krishna's pastimes. So this is the goal of our spiritual life. That's why we came here. So if we simply have the servant of servant mood, then we can definitely one day, for sure, Mahaprabhu guarantees, Prabhupada guarantees that we'll actually um, attain this kind of consciousness. So I would like to end here, just pasting this verse in the chat. Anyone has any question or comment? Anyone has any question or comment online? Okay, so if nobody has any question or comment online, would like to end here. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripasindhubhya vacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavyo antakoti vaishnavyo Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. Please forgive me. I myself I want to cultivate this kind of consciousness and I need the blessings of all the devotees.